Hi, creative friends. This is Soraya, and thank you so much for being here. So, today I'm going to be working in this absolutely stunning journal, Painting the Feminine, an art journal by Connie Solera. And even though this spread is going to be super challenging for me because this is not my color palette and it's just it's so far out of the box of what I am used to, but it's going to challenge me in all the best ways. I just know it. I feel it in my bones. And the reason why I picked this particular spread is because of this little this little quote over here. It says, "The undeniable radiance of someone who is not afraid to grow, be free, and thrive." And I absolutely love it. It aligns so much with my purpose and my intentions for the upcoming year that I just said, I'm just going to work on this spread. So, anyways, let us see what we can do here. I put these colors on my palette. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use all of them. I put a really gorgeous cad yellow, I put this lime green, and I have this cad red light, which is actually a beautiful orange. And now I'm going to get out my viewfinder. I do love the blue orange combo here, but a lot of this is, it's just very different than my visual language. But I mean, I'm still loving it. I'm still loving so much of it. And I know instantly that I want to retain that in my finished piece. Like this has got to stay, I'm hoping. I'm hoping I don't have to cover that up. And I'm really loving all this orange over here. And, I love the yellow. Now, this over here is kind of tricky for me because the purples are very difficult for me to work with. I don't know how to kind of use them, especially not that kind of purple. When I do work with purples, I tend to go for the very like hot purples that lean towards the pink. And I did set aside some collage here, just some pages from a dictionary, my black and white mulberry ink paper from Dick Blick, and I had some extra scrapbooking cards that I am going to try to use. I don't know if I want to inject like something as bold as this because I mean there is a lot of stuff going on here. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to figure out where I'm going to place my figures. And working like this, where you're using the images that are already on the page and you're working with the page, the images, the visual language that's not your own, it's like Connie explained it one time and she said it's like a conversation. So I'd really try to approach it in this way. So I am having a conversation with the page. I'm having a conversation with Connie. I'm having a conversation with her colors and visual language. And when I look at it that way, it's not so overwhelming for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to like I know I want to keep this. So I have to figure out like what, do I want this to be her neck or like maybe a part of a dress, I think that might work better. So normally I start by sketching a face, but because I really desperately want to keep this little piece here, I think I'm just going to kind of work like so. And, one of the great things about working with Connie's visual language is I really have to step up my game because she has an extremely strong visual language. Like it is not wishy washy. And in order for me to work in this book, I have to kind of strengthen my visual language because I don't want, just like I don't want her visual language to overpower mine. I also I also have to like I have to hold my own, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, it really forces me to kind of think outside the box here. And now I think that might work. And I'm going to try to retain some of her lines here if I can. So actually, that might work. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply some collage right off the bat. And another reason why working like this is so challenging is because, like, just say this was completely a blank page, or just say I had put some collage down here. Well, it's very different than working over top of images that are already on the page. Like, it's hard for me to kind of discern, like I kind of instantly want to just go in and like kind of like, fill in the background with a solid field of color so I can kind of figure out what is going on. It's a bit confusing for me, to be quite honest, but I know that once I get over this stretch, which is just, kind of just getting some of my images down, it's gonna loosen up a bit. And I hope I'm making sense with what I'm saying. Sometimes I think that I'm not explaining things properly. So if I'm not, please, leave some comments, ask me some questions, etc. Okay, so I think I'm just going to like put some collage over there because I want to keep, I'm going to try to keep this part for her hair, but I'm going to cover up the face. I don't want any of Connie's work to be on the face. Now I might keep the neck. I don't know. I'm going to have to see how that goes. And okay, so while that dries, I am going to work over here. And now I've got to figure out, like, I want this to read as one spread. So now I've got to figure out, my figures on this page. And I think I want to put two figures on this page here. And this is going to be a little difficult because, like, I don't want to cover up too much of Connie's work. And I don't want to cover up too little of Connie's work, if that makes sense. It's got to be kind of like a conversation, a give and take. Um, and like, just say you were talking to somebody, like, you don't want to be doing all the talking, and then you don't want them to be doing all the talking. It's like a conversation. It's a back and forth. So I want there to be like that balance somewhat. So now I'm gonna see here. Okay. So I think I'm gonna kind of draw a face here. And I addressed this in my last video, but sometimes people don't watch like all my videos, even in this series. So I just want to reiterate that, you absolutely don't have to buy this particular journal. It is a bit pricey for a lot of people. I think it's like about $75 on Amazon. You absolutely don't have to buy Connie's book to be working in this way. You can go to a thrift store and you can look around and get a book for like a couple of dollars. My only recommendation is, I have two recommendations. The first one is that the pages are not glossy, because if they're glossy, I think you can get around that by sanding each page, but that to me seems like so like I would never do that. It would just be too much work for me, and I just don't have it in me to do that. So I wouldn't buy glossy pages, a book with glossy pages. The second recommendation I would suggest is that you find a book that just speaks to you. Like, if you look at the images, and you don't have to like all the images. And actually, it's much better if you don't like all the images. Like, some of the images should be challenging and, not your visual language. And there's so many art books that I see in thrift stores that are just amazing, by brilliant artists. And, you can just be like, oh, I really love this color palette, or I really am, intrigued by this, or, even if you're repulsed by um, a color palette or some imagery, it's just, this is like a learning experience. So, it's going to challenge you. It's going to make you think outside the box and strengthen your own visual language. So I think that I am quite pleased with, with these two figures, the way they're placed. And I want to retain some of Connie's work over here for the hair. So like I think I'm just gonna kind of go like this, and I can always like adjust things later, you know. So now with this situation over here, I mean, okay, I'll see if I can keep, these women are gonna have like really big hair, but that's okay. I mean, you know, they're just gonna have big hair, and that's just the way it goes. So now what I'm gonna do is I am going to, I think I'm going to add some collage on the faces over here as well, because I do want, mm, yeah, I think I'm going to add some collage here. So, and my only goal, like for this particular phase, because this is probably going to be in parts, my only goal for this phase of the, you know, of the journal spread is just for me to get my figures down, um, and just like place my figures and try to somewhat separate the background from the foreground, because I mentioned this in my last series I did working in this book, is that Connie can make a very chaotic or um, like interesting, I guess, background and foreground. And I don't know how she does it, and I don't know how it works, but I cannot do that. Like that would just totally break my brain. I'm hoping that, you know, by the end of me working in a book like this, I'll get better at it maybe. But for now, I am totally going to have to tame this background a little bit, because I don't think I can manage to keep the background and the foreground like all kind of busy with stuff going on. Um, and just, you know, maybe some of it is also a personal preference, because like I know as I'm looking at this, it's just really difficult for me to figure out like, you know, what to keep, what to, where to place my figures, because I'm getting kind of confused a bit with the background and the foreground. So maybe some of it is just a personal preference as well. I don't know, but all I know is that that would be very difficult for me to do that. So I know I want to keep this little quote over here, and I'm gonna keep the hair. And I think so. I really love this orange over here, but it's a face. Like, you know, this is a face, and I need to like get rid of that imagery, because I wanted to read as a, you know, a dress or a robe or something like that. So I'm gonna get my orange, and I'm just gonna kind of like, and I can, you know, I can probably keep that white part because that's not going to read as a nose, but the eye is, you know, very obviously an eye. So I had to get rid of that. And I think I want to keep like some of this peachy kind of feel here. So I'm going to bring in some of my chalk paint in cashew, and that's just going to kind of like tone this orange down a bit here for now. I can always add like another coat like once this completely dries. So okay, so this is reading as one piece here, and that makes me very, very happy because like I can kind of figure out now, okay, I that's a dress, and I think I'm gonna like, I don't know if I want to keep this blue here, so I think I'm gonna bring some of this yellow in. And again, I'm gonna add my chalk paint. And I need to get rid of that eye over there. And I can bring some of that yellow into the face. Now I'm going to add some of this patterned collage, and I think that's going to kind of like put some of my aesthetic in here and break up the energy a little bit. Um, so I've used the dictionary pages. Now I have these scrapbook cards, and I took a class many years ago, and this issue came up. And before I took the class, I had no idea about any of this stuff, but I just wanted to bring it up in case somebody needs to hear this. But this is copyrighted. So if you are going to use something that's copyrighted in a piece of art that you're selling, there are laws that you have to abide by. I don't exactly know what those laws are. It's all very complicated, but from what I understand, like if you cover up, say, 60% or more of this card, um, then you're in the clear. But if it's recognizable, so if you cover up only 20% of something that's copyrighted, then I think there's some issues if you're going to sell your art. Like I am not going to sell my art. This is my scrapbook. I'm not going to make prints out of it, and I'm not going to sell it. So it should be fine. There are also like some vintage wallpapers that are clear of copywriting because they were made prior to the laws. So they're grandfathered in. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about that. And I honestly didn't even think about it until I took this class. But like safe scrapbooking papers, those are most likely copyrighted. So if you're going to sell your work, you cannot use them if they are recognizable. Um, so, anyways, I just wanted to mention that. Um, yeah, it's just the way it goes. And, as artists, like I totally think that's a good thing because, it took somebody their time and effort and skill to make these whatever it is, these papers or whatever. So I totally understand that. Anywho, okay, so now that I am getting some of the faces more kind of, like these look like faces to me, I'm getting a lot more settled within myself because I get like some kind of like it's just very anxiety producing sometimes when everything's so jumbled up because I can't figure out like what is going on. I don't know if I'm the only one who experiences that, but now I do want to keep like say some of this orange because I'm absolutely loving it, but I don't know, that might look a bit weird like with the face being brown and then the neck being orange. So I'm going to see how I can kind of work that in. And even with this blue here, like I want to keep some of this blue because I'm really loving it. Okay. So and I'm going to use some of this orange in the face here because, you know, I want to bring some like life into the face, and I also want to move this orange around the page here, and that's a great way to kind of do that. So now I have to figure out what to do with the background here and like what color to use, and um I have to see like, okay, what am I going to keep, etc. And I know for sure that I am like, I really do like that yellow over there, and I can try to make that into like a sun, like an abstract sun maybe behind this lady. So I'm kind of liking that shape over there. um but I need to like push the background down. And okay, so for her hair, let me see here. I need to find a color that is one of these colors here because I want to retain some of this as a pattern in her hair, but I need to like, cover up this face over here. So maybe a black? I don't know. I really don't know. And I think over here, like I really like that shape. but I think all of this needs to kind of be one color. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with this blue and just kind of like just tone it down like a little bit and just flatten out some of these parts here. And I think because I'm going for such an abstract look here, I honestly think that I might be able to get away with our hair being blue here. And that might pick up on some of this blue over here. And that's one of the, like, it's just so fun to work like this because I'm totally not going for any kind of a realistic look at all. Because I'm being strongly influenced by what's on the page, and Connie is not going for a realistic look. Now if you had to pick a book where it was highly realistic, then that's going to influence you, I would think. Or you can use, you even within realism, there are parts that can read as abstract even within a very realistic piece. So you could challenge yourself in that way, but it's just so fun to not even be restrained at all by reality because I'm like, oh, okay, she wants to have blue hair with, these cute little patterns in it. Okay, that sounds great. I love that. That gives me so much freedom. Okay, now I have to figure out the background. And I think I'm going to go with I think I'm going to go with a cream, which might seem really boring, but honestly, there's just a lot going on. And I think if I put a solid ground of the cream chalk paint, I think it's going to like make things pop that are already going on in the figure and like in the hair and things like that. I don't know. I'm going to just try it out and see what happens. And I don't know if I should just cover everything up in the background or if I should, keep a little bit of this stuff. I don't know, but well, I do want to keep that yellow over there because I might want to turn it into like a sun. So I'm going to keep that. And I think I'm just going to kind of get rid of that. See, now for this one, I think maybe I got rid of too much of Connie's work. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I did. Okay, now I am going to keep like the hair. So, and this lady over here has really super big hair. So that's just the way it's going to be. Okay. Okay, so I feel like this was a good start because I got my figures down on the page. I'm happy with where they're placed. And, I kind of got the background situated. And I guess my only concern is that maybe I covered up too much of Connie's work. I don't know, but I'm kind of happy with it. So I'm going to let this completely dry. And if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. This is part 1 of me working in Painting the Feminine art journal by Connie Solera. And I'm not sure how many parts there'll be to it, but if you want to follow along, that'd be great. And anyways, I will see you in my next video. Bye.